You came here because deep down, you know there's more to life than what you're currently living. You've heard about Neville Goddard. You've heard about the law of assumption, and something inside you is whispering, what if this is real? What if I could actually create the life I want just by shifting the way I think and feel? But here's the problem. Most people try to use the law of assumption the wrong way. They treat it like a trick, like a little hack to force the universe to give them something. They visualize once or twice, they say some affirmations, and then they look around wondering why nothing's happening. And then they quit. They assume it doesn't work. They assume they're different or broken or unlucky. But listen closely. Neville Goddard wasn't teaching you to wish. He wasn't teaching you to beg. He was teaching you how to step into your power. And that power is simple. You don't get what you want. You get what you assume. Think about that for a moment. Every result you've experienced in your life so far has been the direct reflection of what you have assumed to be true about yourself, about other people, about the world. If you assume people don't respect you, you'll find endless proof of it. If you assume money is hard to get, you'll keep struggling no matter how hard you work. If you assume you're unlucky in love, every relationship will mirror that belief. But when you flip the assumption, when you decide that respect is your standard, that money flows easily, that love seeks you out, then reality bends to that new identity. This isn't magic. This is law. And Neville devoted his life to showing you how to use it consciously. Now I know what you might be thinking. If it's that simple, why doesn't everyone just assume themselves into a perfect life? The answer is, because most people don't truly assume. They try, but they do it halfway. They sit in their room for 5 minutes imagining what they want, but then they spend the other 23 hours of the day assuming the exact opposite. Neville was clear. Assumption is not a passing thought. It's a state of being. It's the silent conviction you carry with you, even when the outer world hasn't caught up yet. So when Neville said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, he meant, live as if it's already done. Feel the reality of it as if it were your present truth. And then persist in that state, no matter what the world throws at you. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people who both want a better job. The first person tries the law of assumption like this. They close their eyes, they say, I have my dream job, I have my dream job, a few times. But the second they get up, they start worrying about bills, doubting themselves, complaining to friends about how hard it is. That's not assumption. That's contradiction. The second person, though, does it differently. They close their eyes and imagine the feeling of walking into that new office, shaking hands, hearing someone say, congratulations, we're so glad to have you on board. And then, this is the key, they carry that feeling with them all day. They walk with confidence. They start dressing the part. They speak as if they belong there. They refuse to let circumstances shake the inner truth they've already assumed. Guess which person sees results? It's always the one who lives from the end. This is why I said earlier, you don't get what you want, you get what you assume. Wanting keeps the thing in the future. Assumption pulls it into the present. And when you stay in that present state long enough, reality has no choice but to catch up. Neville used to say, dare to believe in the reality of your assumption and watch the world play its part relative to its fulfillment. That's the secret most people miss. You're not trying to make the outside world change first. You're not waiting for a sign. You're changing the inside world and then letting the outside reflect it. That's why you came here. Not to hear another feel-good idea, not to collect another motivational quote. You came here because something inside you is ready to shift. You're tired of trying harder while staying stuck in the same cycles. You're ready to live from a new state of being. And that's exactly what the law of assumption offers you, the chance to step into that state right now. So let me be clear. This is not about forcing, pushing, or hustling harder. This is about surrendering into the feeling of the end result. This is about letting the inner picture become more real to you than the outer noise. And when you do this, when you really do this, your subconscious mind accepts it as fact. Once it accepts it, it must express it. That's the law. Neville wasn't exaggerating when he said, "Man moves in a world that is nothing more or less than his consciousness objectified." Your consciousness is the cause, the world is the effect. Change the cause and the effect has no choice but to change with it. So if you've ever wondered, why hasn't it worked for me yet? The answer is probably simple. You haven't fully assumed it. You've touched it, maybe tasted it in your imagination for a moment, but you haven't persisted in it long enough for it to harden into fact. That's the real difference between those who see miracles and those who give up. And that's why I want you to stay with me through this whole message. Because in a moment, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to fully use the law of assumption. Not halfway, not sometimes, fully. So that when you leave here, you'll know exactly how to take your desire, whatever it is, and live in the state where it's already yours. But first, let me leave you with this thought. Your life right now is the mirror of your assumptions. Every win, every struggle, every repeated pattern, it's all proof of the assumptions you've carried, often unconsciously. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. If my assumptions are shaping everything, what am I willing to assume about myself from this day forward? Because once you decide that, everything else falls into place. So now that you understand the setup, that your assumptions are the real cause of everything in your life, let's talk about the confrontation. Because this is where most people stumble. This is where they face resistance. This is where the old self fights to survive. And you know exactly what I mean. You decide, I'm going to change. I'm going to assume a new reality. Maybe you start imagining yourself wealthy. Maybe you picture yourself in the relationship you want. Maybe you start affirming health, success, confidence. And for a moment, it feels amazing. You feel unstoppable. You walk differently, you talk differently. But then, life happens. The bills show up in your inbox. The phone stays silent when you wish it would ring. The scale still shows the same number. And that old voice in your head whispers, "See? Nothing's changing." That's the confrontation. That's the moment most people quit. They go right back to assuming the old story. But Neville was clear. Appearances don't matter. The outer world is just the shadow of your inner world. And a shadow takes time to catch up with the movement of the body. So if you want the shadow to change, you don't chase it. You move your body, you shift your assumption. That's why Neville said, disregard appearances, conditions, in fact, all evidence of your senses that deny the fulfillment of your desire. Read that again. Ignore the senses, ignore the lack, ignore the delay. Why? Because if you give more power to appearances than to your assumption, you're back in the old state. And if you're back in the old state, guess what? The old reality continues. Now here's the secret most people miss. The law of assumption is not about forcing yourself to believe. It's not about chanting affirmations while secretly doubting every word. It's about gently but firmly choosing to dwell in the new state, again and again until it becomes natural. That's it. It's like breaking in a new pair of shoes. At first it feels strange, it doesn't quite fit, but the more you walk in them, the more they mold to you. And eventually they feel like they were always yours. Your new assumption works the same way. It may feel uncomfortable at first, it may feel unbelievable, but if you persist, if you keep walking in it, it becomes your new normal. And once it's normal, reality mirrors it without effort. Let me give you a real example, Neville shared. There was a woman who wanted to reconcile with her estranged husband. She tried every outer method, letters, calls, conversations, nothing worked. Finally, she decided to apply Neville's teaching. She stopped assuming he was distant. She stopped assuming he didn't care. Instead, every night before sleep, she imagined him sitting beside her, holding her hand, telling her how much he loved her. She persisted. Not once, not twice, night after night. And within weeks, he returned. No begging, no chasing, no convincing. Just a shift in assumption. So here's the principle. Your outer reality must reflect your inner conviction. Not sometimes, not maybe, always. But here's the challenge. Most people give up too soon. They treat the law of assumption like ordering a package online. They place the order once, then keep checking the door every 5 minutes. When the package doesn't arrive instantly, they cancel the order. But that's not how this works. Neville said, persistence is the key to successful assumption. Persistence doesn't mean straining. It doesn't mean repeating empty words. It means refusing to fall back into the old state, no matter what the senses say. Now let's make this practical. How do you actually live from the end? Here are 3 steps. Step 1. Define the end clearly. Don't just say, I want more money. What does that mean? Does it mean seeing a certain balance in your account? Does it mean walking confidently into a store and buying what you want without checking the price? Get specific. Step 2. Feel it real. Neville's golden method. Imagine a short, simple scene that implies your desire is already fulfilled. It could be a handshake, a hug, a phone call, a bank notification. Replay that scene until you can feel it as true. Step 3. Persist. This is where most people fail. They imagine once, feel good, then stop. But you need to revisit the state again and again, especially before sleep, when the subconscious is most receptive. If you do this, define it, feel it, persist in it, you are living the law of assumption. But here's the confrontation. The old self will resist. It will whisper doubts. It will try to drag you back. You'll think, this is silly. You'll think, nothing's happening. You'll think, I'm wasting my time. But those thoughts are just the echo of the old assumption. And the old assumption is dying. So don't mistake resistance for failure. It's actually proof that you're shifting. Neville said, a change of feeling is a change of destiny. And the old feeling always tries to cling before it fades. Think about it like this. If you've lived your whole life assuming you're unlucky, that assumption has momentum. It's like a train moving at full speed. When you start a new assumption, I am fortunate, everything works in my favor. You're building a new train. At first it barely moves, but the more you feed it, the faster it goes. Meanwhile, the old train slows down. Eventually, the old one stops. The new one takes over. That's persistence. That's assumption. And once the new train is running full speed, reality has no choice but to follow its tracks. Now let's get even more practical. Neville taught a powerful nightly practice called the state akin to sleep. Here's how it works. Before bed, lie down, relax your body, let your mind drift towards sleep. Then gently bring up your chosen scene, the end result. Feel it as real. Don't strain. Don't force. Just let it play like a soft movie in your mind. And here's the key. Fall asleep in that state, because whatever feeling you carry into sleep, your subconscious accepts as fact. Do this night after night, and your subconscious begins to reprogram itself. It accepts the new state as normal, and once it accepts it, life bends to match. But let me warn you, there's a trap here. Some people try this once or twice, don't see instant results, and say, it doesn't work. That's like planting a seed and digging it up the next day to check if it's growing. You don't see the roots forming underground, but they're there. The moment you planted, life began to move. So don't kill the seed by doubting it. Don't uproot it with impatience. Let it grow. Neville said, "Be still and know that you are that which you desire to be." Be still. Trust the process. Persist in the state. Now let's address the biggest enemy of assumption: looking for proof. The moment you start scanning the outside world asking, "Where is it? When is it coming? Why isn't it here yet?" You've dropped the assumption. You're back in lack. You're back in waiting. And waiting keeps it away. The law of assumption is not about waiting. It's about living it now. So the next time that urge comes, when you're tempted to check, to doubt, to complain, remind yourself, the world is just the mirror. The cause is inside. I already have it within me. That shift alone will save you months, even years of struggle. Let me give you another story to anchor this. Neville once told about a man who desperately wanted to be free from debt. He was drowning financially, constantly worried, constantly fearful. Neville told him, "Stop worrying about the bills. Assume the state of financial freedom. Imagine the relief, the gratitude, the freedom of having more than enough." The man practiced nightly. He imagined opening his wallet and seeing it full. He imagined paying bills with ease. He imagined telling friends how free he felt. Within a short time, unexpected income began to flow. Opportunities showed up. Debts cleared, not because he worked harder, but because he assumed differently. Here's the truth. Life doesn't respond to effort nearly as much as it responds to state. Your state is your assumption. And the law guarantees that state must outpicture itself, so if you want more love, don't chase it. Assume you are already loved, already chosen, already wanted. If you want more money, don't hustle in fear. Assume you are already abundant, already supported, already free. If you want health, don't obsess over symptoms. Assume the vitality, the wholeness, the strength is already yours. Live it now, and reality has no choice but to catch up. This is the confrontation, my friend, not with the world, not with other people, but with yourself. The old self must die so the new self can live, and death is uncomfortable. But if you persist through that discomfort, you will rise into a life beyond anything you've known. So don't fear the confrontation. It means the change is happening. It means the old is fading. It means the new is being born. So here we are. You've heard the truth. You don't get what you want. You get what you assume. You've seen how the old self resists, how the outer world tempts you back into doubt, how persistence is the key. Now comes the moment of decision, because knowing this law isn't enough. Talking about it isn't enough. Reading Neville's words isn't enough. The only thing that matters is this. Will you apply it? Think about your life right now. Think about the desire that brought you here. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's health, confidence, freedom, peace. Whatever it is, it's already waiting for you. Not in some distant future, not in some lucky break. Right now, here. Because the moment you assume it, the moment you live from the end, it begins to unfold. Neville said, "It is not what you want that you attract. You attract what you believe to be true." So if you walk away today still wanting, nothing changes. But if you walk away today assuming everything changes, here's how you know you've made the shift. You stop asking when. You stop begging how. You stop looking for signs. Instead, you carry the quiet confidence that it is already done. You walk lighter. You speak differently. You expect good things, not because you're hoping, but because you know. That knowing is assumption. That knowing bends reality. I want you to imagine something right now. Picture yourself 6 months from today, living in the state you've been assuming. See the environment around you. Feel the emotions in your chest. Hear the words people are saying to you. It's not far away. It's you. It's the you that dared to persist while others gave up. It's the you that stopped begging life to change and instead changed from within. It's the you that finally understood what Neville meant when he said, "The world is yourself, pushed out." So here's my challenge to you. Tonight, when you go to bed, don't fall asleep in the old state. Don't drift off rehearsing worries. Don't let the last thing on your mind be fear, lack, or doubt. Instead, take control. Choose one simple scene that implies your wish is fulfilled. Replay it softly, feel it real, and let that be the last impression on your subconscious before sleep. Do this, not once, not twice, but persistently, and watch how the world bends. Because here's the truth. You are not powerless. You are not a victim of chance. You are the operant power. And the law of assumption is your birthright. Every great life change you've ever dreamed of begins with one choice: to stop living in the old state and to boldly assume the new. So assume it now. Assume it fully. Assume it until it feels natural. And refuse to let the outer world convince you otherwise. Let me repeat it one last time. You don't get what you want. You get what you assume, so assume wisely. Assume boldly. Assume as if it were already yours, because it is. This is your turning point. This is your initiation. This is the moment where you stop wishing and start living. Tonight, make the choice. Step into the end. Fall asleep in the wish fulfilled. And when you wake tomorrow, carry that state with you. Walk in it. Breathe in it. Live in it. And soon the world will bow to the new you.